fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Week 1 post-game show, Falcons versus Seahawks. And if you guys were hoping to get that Week 1 lost post-game show, well, you had your wish granted. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure none of you guys actually had that wish. We all wanted to see the Falcons come away with a victory this weekend. Unfortunately, the team had other plans. It looked basically like it did the past few years. First half actually was competitive, which was a change from the past 2 years, so that part was good. Falcons were only down 14-12. Series of mistakes, especially that one defensive pass interference on 3rd and 23 that were pretty crushing. Let the Seahawks get that lead, and missed extra point. Some sloppiness there, but for the most part, the first half was good. Like, it was solid. I think going out of the first half, we were all relatively open. Welcome in. Hold on, let me switch it over here. Adnan Ikic joining us now. Welcome, Adnan. I just did the intro, so you had perfect timing.
Perfect timing as usual.
Yes, as usual. So how you feeling? How you feeling, bud, after that one?
God, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, not great, obviously. I was just saying, the first half was encouraging, right? We had that bad 3rd and 23 DPI, but other than that, I mean, there were some good things. Outside zone was happening. The defense got, 3 sacks in the first half? I mean, it was all, the positivity was boundless. Not really, but it was at least, competence compared to what we're used to in Week 1. And then the second half happened, and we're right back where we started the previous 2 seasons. So, I just vented some. So, Nan, go ahead and give me, your immediate venting reactions to this game.
For the 5th straight year, Dan Quinn's football team looked pretty incompetent overall in Week 1. And yes, I'm even counting that Week 1 victory in 2017 against the Bears because we had no business winning that game because Tariq Cohen dropped 2 passes in the end zone. It was just mental mistake after mental mistake, and I don't even want to say, oh yeah, you just have to chalk it up to Week 1 because Seattle wasn't having those same exact mistakes that were just incompetent. Seattle did have that mistake with Shaquille Griffin, but that was him on Calvin Ridley's first touchdown, but that was just him colliding with his own player accidentally. I'm talking about stuff like that Ricardo Allen penalty was absolutely horrendous on 3rd and 23. Lockett was in complete coverage, and Ricardo Allen just took him out, and then he's looking at the ref, talking about how it's not a penalty. That set the tone for everything because the Falcons would have gotten off the field leading 3-0, and then who knows what could have happened after that. But instead, Chris Carson scores a touchdown on that first drive. Ricardo Allen gifts them 7 points. I did and didn't like the aggression from Dan Quinn. There were some of those 4th downs where it was I didn't mind going for it on 4th down. I just didn't like the play calls on those 4th downs. And I did like going for it on the fake punt, but that was just completely unfortunate where
it was very unfortunate.
It was just like a fumble.
Yeah.
The defense, Isaiah Oliver just got completely burned.
Yeah. I warned about that before the game. I feel like I literally said that. Oh yeah, we probably shouldn't, put Isaiah Oliver in man coverage against DK Metcalf because he's not very fast. And there we go. So
yeah, but basically, I tweeted it out. If you thought that the Falcons defense had trouble with this offense, there's an even better offense where you're traveling to them next week in the Cowboys, where they have a quarterback who's, in my opinion, just as good as Russell Wilson. I think Dak Prescott last year proved that he was among the best in the league. He had 4,900 yards and 30 touchdowns. You have a trio of pass-catching weapons who are better than Metcalf and Lockett and Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, who was a first-rounder this year, and Michael Gallup, who I think went for over 1,000 yards last year. And you have Zeke Elliott, who is one of the elite running backs in the NFL, and you have a better offensive line than what you face today in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there were some positives to take out of it, of course.
A few, yeah.
Yeah, I know we don't want to like talk about that right now. We just
Well,
want to win.
no,
But
it's okay. Like, let's get the positives in, and then we can start the slander in earnest.
yeah, I mean, like the first play of the game, it was that sack. The defensive line got more pressure than what we were seeing out of them last year. The offense was clicking sometimes, and we did establish the run early on. We just decided to go away from it. Todd Gurley did look good. Calvin Ridley looked good. Russell Gage, Julio Jones. We had 300-yard receivers in this game. And, Younghoe Koo got us another onside kick.
That was the best onside kick I have ever seen in my life. It's such a shame that it was completely meaningless, but oh my god, that was probably the best onside kick I have ever seen.
Yeah, and to be honest, Foy Oluwakin might be the best in the league in recovering onside kicks at this point. He and Koo just have that mental connection.
We're number one in something, so.
Yeah, at this point, I'm down to just go onside kick every single time. You score, you just go onside kick.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Like, the ball was up in the air at the 10-yard line with Oluwakin right there. It was a thing of beauty. It was a shame that the Falcons were still down 2 scores at that point. And they basically had still zero chance of winning the game. But, maybe in a game that we're actually in contention at the end, that skill set will come in handy. Because it was, even if we just have to watch Koo just kick those for fun, it was still entertaining, so I guess there's that. But, I'm totally on the same page as you here. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Matt's tweet that he just tweeted out. It was Evan Birchfield, one of our co-hosts. He tweeted out that the Falcons did have 3 wide receivers with 100 yards and lost.
Yeah.
And then Matt tweets out, "We did it."
We did it, you guys. We did. Yeah, I gotta pull up the stats because it's pretty embarrassing. But welcome in, Keenan. How are you doing? I see that you're in here. Welcome.
Hey, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of some slander, but I'll let you get your instant reactions in here real quick while I pull up some stats. So go ahead.
Russell Wilson played better than we did.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's for sure.
Yeah, very much so. Matt didn't do too bad. It's just, man, actually, you know what? The offensive line played pretty well too.
Mm-hmm.
They kept him clean most of the time. It's just, see, I guess just one of them days Seattle had more things going their way for them. You know.
Yeah.
But that first half, they had a couple big plays. Ricardo had the pass interference, which we was just about to get off the field on, and then they ended up scoring. It just wasn't our day.
Yeah, it wasn't, the best day. The first half I think was solid. Outside of that DPI that you mentioned where we were really close. The first half was encouraging. Pass rush was great, and the offensive line looked better. And then, all of that goodwill just evaporated in approximately 15 minutes when the third quarter was just an absolute disaster. So it was, not great, obviously. I believe, Adnan, we were talking about, there were some positives to the game, obviously. We were just talking about that Younghoe Koo onside kick. What'd you think of that? Keenan there. Did you like that onside kick?
Yeah, it was very good, man. I'm sorry. I thought you was talking to
Oh, no, you're cool. You're cool. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the onside kick was real good, man. I thought Foye was about to take off with it, very good. I wish he'd have made that extra point earlier in the game, but hey, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, no.
What?
Gono got the penalty there, and he hit it the first time. I think maybe also the sun had just kind of come right into his face on that second kick, so maybe that had something to do with it. But it wasn't like that was the difference in the game. So I'm hesitant to really put anything on Younghoe Koo. But
and I just saw the New Orleans Saints on 3rd and 8. Drew Brees dinks it down 3 yards for a 4th down. I think we'll see a lot of that from the Saints this year, but. Well, I can't even talk. We saw a lot of that from the Falcons in this game as well, where it was like 3rd down and they didn't even get it to the line of scrimmage. But in Matt Ryan's defense there, they were just bringing that blitz with Jamal Adams every single time. And Jamal Adams was easily the player of the game in this game. He was literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
I have no idea how it took an entire half to adjust the protection to the right side of that offensive line. They just kept bringing him from the right side, and there was someone unblocked over and over again. it's up to the coaching staff when that happens the first time. You have to make an adjustment.
Yeah, you do. And we were calling the Jamal Adams blitz packages like a week ago. Like, how are these? Like, I just don't understand. Like, how can you not be prepared for that? The man's the best blitzing safety in the NFL, and they have a terrible defensive line. You don't think he's gonna blitz? Like, seriously? Like, that's part of my problem here. Like, it doesn't take Keenan Forney. Like, no offense to us, but like, I'm sure Keenan was all over this. Like, we fans, and we like to call ourselves analysts, and be nice to ourselves. But like, we're fans, and like, we were calling this. Why can't why can't they get it? So, I mean, do you have any insight on why that sort of package might not have been planned for Keenan?
You know what? Actually, every time Jamal Adams made a play and was coming through like that, my boy Algie Crumpler was calling me on the phone talking about, man, I wonder if during the week of practice, did they have a special jersey on for Jamal Adams, for the practice squad guys to be like, hey, look here, man, we got to account for him. But because I know when we were playing, we always did that for guys like Troy Polamalu or Ed Reed,
right.
Safeties that are game changers, so I don't know. But there was a couple times where he came through there and it was just like y'all said, there was nobody accounting for him, whether it was on that one where they had I can't remember which quarter it was, but they had 2-3 techniques and they walked both the linebackers up in A gap and they blitzed him off the outside. It was like a 6-man protection and they were showing that they were bringing at least 7, but and then there was the one where he chased down from the backside. What was it? I think it was a counter or it was a power play. I think Bruce Irvin had a pretty good. He stuffed Keith Smith, the fullback. He stuffed him pretty good to where they couldn't, really widen that hole a little bit.
Right.
Chris Lindstrom turned in there, and Jamal Adams had just enough speed and just enough get off to chase the thing down from the backside. He was just man. He had him a day today.
Yeah, I mean, he was tremendous. Like, I think that, we could critique maybe that he was a little early a couple times. And look, the refs, other than that Ricardo Allen DPI, they were pretty consistent about letting them kind of play in the secondary. So, like, I mean, I feel like, obviously the homer in me thinks that, some of those probably should have been flags, at least defensive holding, where he got there early a few times. But, like, I mean, at the same time, like, it was tight coverage everywhere he was. Like, the Falcons were not really getting open on offense outside of, I mean, there were definitely some plays where they were moving the ball. I mean, they moved the ball extremely well. They had over 500 yards. Like, I mean, this is not an issue of the Falcons not moving the ball. The issue was scoring, and they were over 400 yards and only 18 points going into the fourth, and they did tack on that garbage time touchdown. But, I mean, this is where the Dirk Koetter slander begins, so if you guys came here for that, it's starting now. So, like, this is not something that is an aberration with Dirk Koetter. This is something that happens regularly, where the Falcons are producing tons of yards, they're moving the ball, and they get to the red zone and they can't punch it in. Like, this is not the first time this has happened. And going over 500 yards with just 25 points to show for it, I mean, come on. Like, we have to do better than that. Like, this is not acceptable. And, like, it's hard to even count. Like, at least 100 of those yards came in garbage time at minimum. But, like, this is a game that the Falcons should have been tied in. Like, they should have been in contention at the end. I mean, even with the defense really kind of falling apart in the second half, this was a game that they should have been in, but they just couldn't get the scores. Like, they were 0-4 on fourth down. Like, I mean, that's a huge factor in this game, is not being able to convert a single fourth down. The fake punt, like, I think that was extremely ballsy, like, extremely aggressive, to the point where that's even maybe too much for me. And you get it, and then you fumble it. Like, that's just a dumb error. But, like, I just...
It was a great call.
He
got to hold on to the ball. I mean, you got to give credit to the player for Seattle. I forget his name, but he made a great tackle. He put his head right on the ball and boom, popped it out.
Perfect tackle.
Yeah.
Perfect tackle.
It was good. Yeah. So, like, I mean, I think the call, it came off a little desperate to me, but it worked, and then it didn't work. So it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it's kind of, there's some good and bad to that call.
When it went wrong, it just gave them a short field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of having to make them earn it, it just gave them a short field. And, Russell was on fire today, man.
He was doing it.
He was. And matter of fact, you go back to, to some of Jamal Adams' plays, some of that stuff, you got to give credit to Seattle's coaches, because they had it schemed up pretty good. Like, they just made it to where he would be just unblockable on that. And, he just made the plays. He made some great plays out there.
He did.
I think we can agree that the Falcons definitely got out-coached in this game. And the issue is they get outcoached in a lot of their games. And it just keeps happening. And especially in week 1, it just kept happening. Where, this week 1 wasn't as bad as last year's week 1. But it was still absolutely terrible. Like you can't. You were down by 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. Sure, you got it back closer, but a lot of that was garbage time, if we're being honest. And shout out to Calvin Ridley fantasy owners and to Matt Ryan fantasy owners, but that's not helping the team win.
No, and the frustrating thing for me too was like we saw this run game actually look good in the first quarter. Like they were up over 5 yards per carry. Like Gurley was getting it done. And then it seemed like the outside zone plays evaporated. Like, I don't understand. Like it was just draws. It was power up the middle. Like, these inside the tackles runs. And, like, Gurley can do that stuff. Like, it's not like he's terrible at it. But, like, this is a team that has made its name in the run game since basically 2016 by running outside zone. And, like, I can give Koetter some credit for running it effectively for a quarter, and then he just scrapped it. Like, this is the same thing that happened last year. Like, we saw flashes of what the offense he's supposed to run, the Shanahan, Sarkisian offense with outside zone and play action, and then it just disappears quickly because I just think the main problem here is Dirk Koetter doesn't know how to call the West Coast offense. He's never called it before. This is not his offense. Like, so to me, maybe it's not really Dirk Koetter's fault that the Falcons decided to hire him to run an offense that he's clearly not comfortable running. So, I mean, maybe that's the real issue here. But, yeah.
Well, I don't want to put it all on Dirk.
No, it's not. It's not really fair. But
I don't want to put it all on Dirk. I mean, they did get behind in the touchdown count. So, I mean, that changes up your play calling as an old coordinator. The defense is starting to give up some, and now you look up and you're down by 16 or whatever, So it's like, okay, we can't really stick with our ground game like how we want to. We got to get it. We got to get on the board some kind of way. So I don't want to put it all on Dirk. The defense is they've got to make those stops. They can't make silly mistakes. Like the pass interference we talking about Ricardo and Isaiah giving up the 1 touchdown to DK out there. Because I thought, actually, the defensive line, they was rushing pretty good.
Yeah, they were great. Like, they looked fantastic in this game, the defensive line. They were getting pressure consistently.
Yeah, it was a lot of mistakes just in the passing game, in the coverage area.
And just a quick update, because you'll see it on ESPN all night. Tom Brady, first drive, marches down the field, and his first touchdown is a sneak into the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They're going to be talking about that all day.
I hope they're talking about a Saints loss. That's the only thing that could make this weekend better at this point. But,
I mean, I did see some positives, man. There were some good positives. Even though we got outscored, I mean, we gave them some bad penalties that put them in position. I saw some positive stuff. Our D-line, they got into that bear front I was talking a little bit about. About what was that? This past week or whatever. Trying to get one-on-ones across the board and. Grady, I think he had like 2 sacks. Fowler had a couple pressures, and Tack had him a sack on the first play of the game. I was like, wow, okay, here we go. We just got to tighten up a little bit in that coverage, in that back end a little bit.
Yeah, and
because when you play that bear front, it's man across the board. So you only got you gotta grab onto your nuts and hold on out there.
Right.
Let that rush get there.
Exactly, and like. This is not totally unexpected in terms of the young secondary struggling. Like, I don't think we should have left Isaiah Oliver on basically what looked like an island against DK Metcalf. Like, we had been talking about this all week. Like, that is not the matchup you want. Because while Oliver is good at covering big receivers downfield, he's not fast. So Metcalf, despite his size, is not really a good matchup for Oliver because Oliver's running a 4.5, totally respectable for a corner of his size. DK Metcalf's running a 4.3. Like, this man has 0.2 on Isaiah Oliver. Like, this is not a matchup that Oliver's going to be successful if it's downfield. We saw Oliver cover him well on slants and stuff like that, which is encouraging, but like downfield, that's not what you want. And I feel like Terrell probably should have been put on Metcalf. They seemed like they were kind of hiding Terrell in this game. Like, they had him on David Moore a lot. And, I think other than that one play where Terrell kind of bit on the action that Lockett did, and he thought maybe he could undercut the route and then Lockett hit him with the double move, and that was pretty much a big gain. Like, other than that, Terrell was okay. I mean, he's a rookie. Like, his first NFL game, no preseason. For the most part, he was fine. I just think you have to do better with these matchups. You can't let the offense get you in a matchup like that and not make an adjustment, because you're just asking for something like that to happen. And I know it was 4th and 5. They were probably selling out to stop the run. The safety help was really late getting there, and it's just, I don't really blame Oliver for that. Like, he can't trail Metcalf downfield for like 50 yards. He just can't keep up with him. It's not possible. So you're asking him to do the impossible on that point. So I feel bad for Oliver on that one.
Yeah, when you play that bear front, man, the D-line, they got to get there. They have to get there. I mean, you got to get some kind of pressure, make him move off of his spot or something, especially, Oliver, he's not going to have any help. He's man-to-man with a guy that's running 4.3 and as big as he is. The D-line, they gotta get there on that in that situation.
Yeah, that's part of it too. And, I think they really thought it was going to be run, and then they just kind of got caught with their pants down there.
And I completely understand putting Terrell on David Moore in this game, just because the last time A.J. Terrell was on a football field in an actual game that means something was against Jamar Chase in the national championship game. And as much as we want to talk about how that doesn't matter and how that was in the past, it still matters for a rookie quarterback or a rookie cornerback's confidence, especially, where you don't want to just throw him to the wolves immediately after the last time he played. It was on national television, and he didn't really do a great job on Jamar Chase in that second half. So I understand the logic behind it, but like you said, Kevin, just putting Isaiah Oliver on a pure one-on-one against DK Metcalf, and then, I mean, who didn't see it coming where DK Metcalf just runs a go route and just runs right by him, and especially on a 4th and 5. Like, if you get that stop, it's a whole new ball. It's a different ball game completely.
Yeah, and it's that's the thing. Like I thought Oliver was fine like early. Like I think he was playing Metcalf well on this short game. Like he was able to contain him on the slants and stuff like that. He had that great pass breakup, and he was generally in position. But it's just like you gotta see that if you're gonna match up Oliver on Metcalf, he has to have safety help, because he's gonna get burned down the field. And that the Seahawks, to their credit, they saw that matchup and they attacked it, and that's what you should do on offense. But now you're gonna see that highlight reel for Oliver every single week, and fans are going to go after him because, I mean, he got burned. So I just hate it for Oliver. And people asking, like, what does Oliver do well? Like, he's a matchup outside corner for big receivers. So if you just look at DK Metcalf and you're like, he's a big receiver, put Oliver on him, like that. I feel like that's what they did, but that's not really the right call, because Metcalf plays more like a speed receiver, even though he's a big guy. And I would have lined it up differently. I would have been like, look, Terrell, you're supposed to be our first-round pick. Go out there and play Metcalf. Like, don't waste your first-round pick on David Moore. I mean, seriously, like, we needed Terrell to keep that exact play from happening, and we didn't get to see him. I think Terrell has plenty of confidence. He was lined up on Julio all training camp. He was making plays. Like, I just feel like the guy, like, sure, it's nice to build confidence, but you know what builds confidence? Winning football games, and that did not exactly happen this week. So.
Yeah, well, it just looked like they're trying to keep AJ just playing that left corner and keeping Isaiah playing right corner. They wasn't trying to have. Yeah,
I hate that
so much. I hated that when we had Trufant and Oliver, when Trufant was really close to being a shutdown cornerback. They wouldn't let him travel with the opposing team's best corner at all. And you're just letting the opposing offense completely dictate how the game is going to be played if you just leave one cornerback on one side of the field the entire game. It's not like the defensive line where they're not going to be flipping linemen to left and right offensive line, left and right tackle, excuse me. You can't let the offense dictate how it's going to be played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked about this. Like, you guys were all there. We talked about it on the show, earlier. Like, there was hope that maybe with Raheem Morris taking over the secondary and Joe Witt coming in, that we were going to see some more aggressive game planning and matchup-based defense, to combat the fact that offenses are going to target you. Like, they're going to go after your guys. If you play sides, you lose control. Like, you are now letting the offense decide who gets to play where. And you can't do that. Like, you can't do that in today's NFL. Like, the Seahawks are one thing. Like, I would say the Seahawks are one of the more archaically called offenses. Like, this isn't even a cutting-edge offense. I mean, I'll give Schottenheimer credit. Like, I think he did definitely use more pre-snap motion and stuff like that this week, and he did a good job. But, like, no one's putting Schottenheimer in the Kyle Shanahan discussion or the Sean McVay discussion. This isn't a cutting-edge offense that you're seeing out there. And yeah,
you'll see it next week against Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy's offense, filled with weapons, and you're not going to be able to hide AJ Terrell on anyone next week.
Yeah,
because you have 3 studs coming in at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and that's going to be an even harder game. I mean, like, if you thought Seattle owned this team on defense, like, there's not a position group, I think, that other than quarterback. I think Russell Wilson's better than Dak, but like on Dallas's offense, I think there's not a single position group that's not better than Seattle's. Like, the offensive line's better, the wide receivers are better. Ezekiel Elliott's better than Chris Carson. Maybe tight end. You know, they have Greg Olsen and Will Dissly. Dallas doesn't really have much of tight end. So, Blake Jarwin, Hive, I guess. But, like, other than that, like, I mean, this is going to be a step up in competition. And you got to go on the road. Like, now you're in a really bad spot if you're the Falcons. Like, you're looking at 0-2. Yep. So.
And even to the point of, like, Dak, Dak is my dark horse this year to possibly win MVP. Like, he's in a contract year. He has he's in year 2 of Kellen Moore's system. He has a head coach who's going to let him unscrew it. So, it's not going to be easy by any means next week.
Yeah. And I just want to do a quick note. Like, we're up over 200 viewers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. If you're here now, if you don't mind throwing a like at the video, that helps other folks here on YouTube find the show. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button too. Now, back to the analysis, because that's my plug. Back to the analysis. So,
I want to ask Keenan. I know you probably looked closely at Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry because, you coached them up throughout the offseason. How do you evaluate their performances in this game?
I thought they played pretty well. I know Chris came out the first quarter. He was allowing a little bit too much push, but it looked like he kind of settled himself down and readjusted his hands and started getting better leverage. I thought that the O-line protected pretty well. I mean, there was I think Matt got sacked at one time on the play action boot, but that's not their fault. They just made a good play. It might have been a couple little presses. I think he got knocked down twice, but other than that, I thought they played pretty solidly, especially James Carpenter. In pass protection, he was doing pretty well, and Jake was solid over there too. I think that was one of the reasons why we was able to get a lot of yards in that last quarter, because they were protecting their ass off. And let's be clear, that is hard as hell to do when the other team knows that you're about to pass. And now you and the defensive lineman knows that that's all you can do. They're about to get their best pass rush moves out on you.
Yeah.
So they showed up and showed out, and I think that was a positive. That was a bright spot. I think that shows we can get out there and use those receivers that we have. I thought Russell Gage had some nice catches out there. He had the one where he leaped over somebody, and Julio had over 100 yards after 5 catches, and Calvin had the touchdown. I mean, I think we ought to lean towards that a lot more because they look pretty good out there. Now, granted, Seattle doesn't have the best defensive line, but hey, they look good out there. They look solid.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, all the pieces looked great. Like you said, I thought the offensive line looked much better. I mean, I think Caleb McGarry had a little struggle at the beginning of the game, but he got better, I think, as the game went on. Got a little more, just got settled in. It's the first game of the season. Stuff happens. Lindstrom, I think, did well. At left guard, the rotation of Hennessy and Carpenter was fine for the most part. Obviously, Jake Matthews and Alex Mack were great. So offensive line looked better. That's nice. Todd Gurley early in the game looked great. They went away from the outside zone and it kind of stalled out, but for the most part, it was fine. Falcons still had, all of their backs had exactly 4 yards per carry. Well, that's not a great number. That's miles ahead of where they were last year, so that's always nice to see. Falcons had 3 receivers over 100 yards. Julio Jones, 157 yards. Ridley, 130. Russell Gage, 114. And, 25 points with the stat line like that is just so disappointing for me. And I just... 38 points allowed, that's just not a number you ever want to see. Like, opening the season with that number, like, it's just, like, you can't allow that many points on a defense. And I'll give them, like, the 7 from the fumbled fake punt. Like, that they had like a 20-yard field to defend. That's a really hard drive to stop. I'll give them those 7, but like 31 points. 30 points a game is too much. Like if you're allowing more than 30 points, you're gonna put your offense in a bad place, and that's where they ended up.
That's exactly where they ended up. Force you to have to come out and sling it.
Yeah, and to their credit, they did it well. They just couldn't get the ball in the end zone until it was too late. They were able to sling. I mean, it was almost exactly the same as last year's Seattle game, where Matt Schaub came out here and slung it for 460 yards. Matt Ryan had 450, by the way. And like they just couldn't score points. Like they had over 500 yards in that game, and they just couldn't punch it in. So it's just it's frustrating. But if you're looking for signs of hope, I mean, the offense put a ton of yards up. If they can get some of those fourth downs, they can convert a little bit better on third down. Like this offense can still roll. And it's clear that Seattle's defense was a lot better with Jamal Adams than they would have been without him. Like I feel like that defense could have been a disaster without Jamal Adams. But you gotta find ways to convert those red zone trips into points. And if you're gonna go for it on fourth down and not go for field goals, you have to convert. I like the aggressiveness. I love it actually. Analytics tell us go for it on fourth down if you can. They just didn't go their way this week. So. It's rough.
Yeah, what was that? I think it was that 1 4th down where Bobby Wagner shot through the hole. It wasn't Seattle, it was us. We didn't. I think Jake held on a little bit too long on that backside trying to help his tight end out. When he sees his guy, he's doubling to or scooping to, whatever terminology they're using. He's stacked almost inside of you, man. You can't give much help to him, and he tried to give his boy some help, and Wagner hit it on the run, and boom.
Yeah.
And in fairness, Matt Ryan had an overall very good game, but he did absolutely kill one of those drives in the end, where there was 3rd and 2, and he had that rushing lane where he could have gone through it, but he tried to force the pass into Calvin Ridley, and then on 4th down he missed Calvin Ridley, who was pretty open down the sidelines. Yeah. And I think it did hit.
Yeah, Ridley had to lay out for it, but
really got to make that catch. It went right through his hands. He got to make that.
Yeah, it wasn't the best throw.
But it still wasn't. It still wasn't the easiest catch to make, having to completely lay out. But regardless, that was a complete killer because the defense had just gotten off the field on a 3-and-out, and I think at this point it was an 11-point game or 13-point game. It was a 2-possession game,
so it was still close.
I mean, you were 0 for 4 on 4th downs. That's not going to happen every single week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. If it does, we have bigger problems.
Yeah. To me, one of the biggest problems in this game was that short yardage offense. Gurley was supposed to come in to be the fixer there, the guy that was able to convert those, and
he did on the first touchdown.
Yeah, that they did get it that time, but then it did not again. They didn't get it again. They were, I believe, pretty dismantled on 3rd downs, and that was a big story of the game, and. I think even it's like Seattle was 1 and 4 on 3rd down at one point, and then I think in the second half they just hit all of them. So it was just really, really tough spot there for the Falcons to end up in. But it's week 1. We got a long time.
It's very fixable. It's very fixable. A lot of the mistakes that happen offensively. That's what I'll just leave it at that. It's very fixable.
Yeah, and it's true. And the only thing that gives me pause is that this is the same exact thing I said last year at this time. It's fixable. These are the issues, and I feel like we're saying the same issues. Although the offensive performance was certainly better than last year, week 1. But this is the same coaching staff. It's concerning to me that the same exact issues are our concerns here in week 1 a year later. So to me, that's a concern. No way around that. But yeah, I mean, I know there's some. We need to get rid of Matt Ryan in the chat. So to you guys, I say welcome back, Matt Ryan haters.
They got the style.
Thank you for the clicks. But yeah, otherwise,
Come on now. Matt threw for over 400 yards. Come on now. What else is he supposed to do?
Right. Well, he's not Mike Vick, so he can't run for 50 yards on a scramble. So therefore, we need a mobile quarterback. But you guys don't remember, Michael Vick wasn't the greatest passer. Okay, you got there's trade-offs for each style of play. So Matt Ryan was fine. Get out of here with that. If you want to critique Matt Ryan, wait till he has his one game of the year where he throws 4 interceptions. Then you can come in here with your critiques. But
Yeah.
We're gonna get the most views of the season on that show.
Oh yeah. That
Yeah,
4-8
it's gonna be like 1,000 views on that one.
Oh yeah, all the haters come out of the woodwork for that one Matt Ryan game where he throws like 3 picks. So it's yearly tradition. We accept the
man.
clicks. But well, guys, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've exhausted my slander. I'm not going to keep beating the dead horse here. Do you guys have any final takes to get off here before we wrap it up for this week?
This was a rough one.
Yeah.
I really thought we'd go into this one and maybe propel ourselves a little bit with a win, but yeah, I mean it's my own fault. I've seen this team in the first week the past 4 years, and that just doesn't happen. I mean, I was almost right about the 24 points prediction that I had for the team. They scored 25, but they gave up 38.
Yeah.
What I will say is, and we'll look ahead to the Cowboys next week. Don't completely panic if this team is 0-2. I mean, don't panic like right now either, but don't panic if we're sitting here next week and at the same time the team is 0-2 because it kind of lightens up a little bit with the Bears after that. But it's still very early in the season. Let's save the panic for when we're 3 or 4 games below 500 at the very least.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, a stat that I came across in my research the past week, this team hasn't been above 500 at any point since 2017. So since the 2017 season, last year we started off 1-5 and weren't above 500. The year before, or last year was 1-7. The year before we started off like 1-4 or 1-5. So it would be nice to go into a week with more wins than losses because we haven't had that feeling in like 3 years.
It's been a while. Yeah. It has been a really long time, sadly. Which is, added to the list of reasons that I'm frustrated right now. But, I mean, ultimately, like, the players love Dan. They're going to give Dan a chance to fix things, but he's running out of chances very quickly. I don't think Arthur Blank is going to tolerate another 1-7 start or anything similar to that. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 3 or more times, shame on me. So
yeah, I mean, because I was going to say you were going to say twice.
No.
They got fooled last year too.
Yes,
last year.
Exactly. So obviously, we all hope that they put it together, and this is just a blip on the radar. We hope that every year. I sincerely hope that because nobody wants these guys to get fired. Like, let's be real here. Like, we want this team to be great. So
I like Dan Quinn.
Yeah, Dan Quinn's a great dude. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with Quinn. So we just gotta get it together. They gotta go out there and they gotta grind this week and fix these issues. And hopefully that doesn't take them till the bye week to get it sorted out this time because that strategy not gonna work again this year. So
the bye week is late in the season.
Yeah, they can't wait that long.
Bye week is pretty late.
Yeah, so that's
not a week 4 bye week.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Keenan?
I would just tell everybody don't panic. First game of the year, there's a lot of things that need to be corrected, and it's small stuff. Defensively, I thought the D-line looked pretty well. We just got to quit giving up bad mistakes, that keep the drive alive for the other team. Offensively, I like how Dirk Koetter came out to different formations. He came out of a bunch of different, some power formations. I like some 13 and 14 personnel, but when you get behind in the score count, man, it changes up your play calling. So, defense has got to do their job, and then offense can do their job. It just goes back and forth. Don't jump off the bandwagon just yet. Yeah. They'll get it corrected. They'll get it fixed. Small stuff. I don't think it's personnel issues. We got some good players. It's just some assignment and some technique stuff so we don't have any penalties.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Vincent LeBear asked in the chat about the rookie punter, Sterling Hoffrichter. I thought he played well. He had a couple of really good punts. That first one had great hang time and honestly should have been like a stop at like the 10, but I think Zacchaeus just couldn't make the tackle. He did manage to recover and get the tackle a few yards later, but I thought Hoffrichter was good. We didn't actually see that many punts despite the Falcons only scoring 25 points, but I thought he was good. That was somebody we didn't talk about earlier, so I thought that was encouraging. And Koo hit 2 49-yard field goals, so those of you that thought he was having trouble with above 45, I thought both those kicks were excellent, so That's encouraging to see.
Still hasn't proven it above 50.
Well, but that's the thing, really. Like, if you should just go for it on fourth down if it's above 50, maybe. So.
I mean, the first one would have been good from like 59, probably.
Yeah, that was a great kick. That first one, that's fantastic. So, yeah, no issues there so far. Koo with the godlike extra point. Koo gets the game ball for that onside kick. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. So, but yes, guys, just a reminder, we'll be back on Wednesday night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern. We'll watch the game again, get that coach's film, do a more in-depth breakdown, and then look towards Dallas next week. But until then, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, if you don't mind throwing a like to the video, subscribe to the channel, you'll get notifications when we're planning to go live. And then before we get out of here, I want to thank my co-hosts first, Keenan Forney at K4065 on Twitter. Anything you want to let the people know about, Keenan?
Follow me on Instagram, F65 Performance. Any young fellas want to get some work, young offensive linemen, holla at me, DM me. Yeah. And also, too, get out and support some high school football this week. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Keenan's out there working with Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry. He can help your game, too. So definitely check that out. Also with us, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, anything that you're working on?
Yeah, my Fantasy Stud and Dud article will go live tomorrow night, and I'll be doing a recap of the rest of the NFC South. And it looks like this Bucs-Saints game is going to be a really good one. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Like, football's back. I mean, I got stuff to do Sunday night now, finally. I get to watch some real live football. And I'm excited about that. Guys, I am Kevin Knight. Sir. Yeah, absolutely. So no matter what, you get to at least watch some good football, even if it's not the Falcons, unfortunately. But hey, beggars can't be choosers.
I get to watch some of my babies, so to speak, get to play. I got to see Chris and Caleb today. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I get to watch Andrew against the Steelers. I'm gonna go here in a little bit and watch Solomon with the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always fun to get to watch those guys you work with personally and see how they grow and improve over time. Guys, I'm Kevin Knight on Twitter at Falcoholic Kevin. I'll have lots of stuff this week. I'll have some sort of article tomorrow about the game. We'll have stuff all week long at thefalcoholic.com. That's the best place for Falcons news. If you got here without knowing about the Falcoholic, those algorithms are killing it, but you should definitely check it out. We have the best Falcons coverage consistently, hard-hitting analysis, and also positive analysis. It's not all bad, okay? No, not everyone slanders Dirk Koetter like me, okay? That's my thing. So yeah, check that out, guys. The show is Falcoholic Live on Twitter as well. Until Wednesday night, guys, enjoy this Sunday of NFL football. We got to enjoy it while we have it. Hopefully we have it all year, but in the meantime, just get out there, enjoy yourselves. And we will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Have a good one.